That is Katacombs performing In the Water. The remix is off her debut full-length album, available now. It's called Fragments of the Underwater. It's right there. You can find it wherever you get your music. And we are lucky enough to have her here in studio before she takes off across the pond for her European tour. Welcome to Katarina Karanos, aka Katacombs. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on the drop of your first album.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey
of course.
to this point. You say, this is kind of your second career.
Yes, it is. It was my first dream, but second career. And I studied interior design for 4 years. I got my BFA, and then I moved to Texas and started a wood shop and basically taught myself how to woodwork.
I love that so much.
Yeah, and I guess it all came out of a fear of pursuing music because I had been told that the industry was so difficult, you know, and it's always feast or famine, and especially at the time for women, it was difficult to be part of touring world. You know, there are a lot of men who have very little respect for women in the industry and love mansplaining. And it is getting, I feel like it's gotten better, but I'm sure it's a struggle many people still have.
Well, and you cut your teeth in working with wood, so I mean, at least I think that you kind of were in a male-dominated field to begin with. What was the straw that made you decide this is not what I'm going to do anymore, and I'm going to do what I want to do and pursue this music career?
It was COVID.
Okay.
Thinking that the world was ending.
Yeah.
And then thinking that if it didn't end, having that kind of, oh, everything's done, I didn't do the thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of, I started, I took those months of quarantine and just put my all into it.
I love it.
And when I came out of it, I couldn't bring myself back to do the thing I didn't want to do just because it paid.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
man, all the feels there. So I mean, and now you are doing it, right? Now this is real. You are going on tour. Let's talk about what's next for you.
So it's still in the beginning phases. I was in another band for almost 4 years, and I was getting, a much higher paycheck because I was just hired guns.
Sure.
I didn't have to pay for anything. Now it's kind of all on me. So it's anything I make goes straight back into the project. And it's, I wouldn't say it's thriving yet, but it's on its way.
There you go.
And at least I'm enjoying it. The tour that's coming up, I have 2 tours that I'm really excited about coming up. I have one tour in UK with Frank Turner and Dave Haas. Mm-hmm. And then I have another tour in the US in May with, that one's April. And then in May I have Frank Turner, Schaefer James.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
And Schaefer James is an old friend. I've already done a few shows with him. And Frank Turner and Dave Haas are also, I've done 2 tours with them. Okay. And yeah, people I love very much, and I'm excited to be traveling with them and very grateful that they continue to believe in what I'm doing.
Absolutely. and then talk to about the work that you've put into the album, because you said some of the songs, I mean, you did everything, right?
So I did not, Frank Turner actually mixed and mastered it.
Okay.
And he was there for a lot of the questions I had, because it was my first shot at production. So I wrote every song, I played almost every instrument, I produced the whole thing, but there were a lot of moments. It took me almost 3 years to complete it because there was so much Googling and YouTubing.
Trial and error. But wow, I mean, what a story then to say that it's now out and people can enjoy it. Talk a little bit about your name, Katacombs, where that comes from.
So Katacombs comes from the wood shop because I was working with bone and wood. Okay. I made sculptural furniture out of bone and wood, and it was it was large scale bone, so femurs, scapulas, all ethically sourced. Mainly cattle, horse, and deer, and it was being in Texas. There are a lot of ranches. Yeah. A lot of animals die of natural causes, heat, snake bites, anything. And I just made a lot of friends in ranches. And anytime one of them would pass, they would kind of bring it to me, and I would process it. And it was kind of my way of using something for the material to bring it back to something beautiful instead of just burying it. And it was kind of a big my way of honoring the animal and the material and the process. And I would have all these not rituals, but I had my own process of processing it. It wasn't just ripping it apart. It was very much thinking of the life that went into this piece and
Honoring the animal.
Trying to respect it as much as I could.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so I wanted to eventually pick this hobby back up as a hobby, not as a career anymore. And I figured the name Catacombs would work because eventually I could build my stage and, you know, the guitar stands and piano stands and everything and make it look like a catacomb.
Oh my gosh, that's very cool.
So,
okay.
So I wanted to join the two and find a way to bring my two passions together sometime in the future. And I'm hoping still to do that someday.
That will happen, I guarantee it. All right,
Yeah.
so quickly, tell us what you hope people get from your music. And yeah.
So my music has a lot to do with the exploration of, I think as a girl who grew up in Miami with a Latin mom and an older brother, he was allowed to do a lot of things that I wasn't because I was always, you know, protected one.
You're the girl.
And I still went out and did a lot of it, but I didn't get to explore as much of the darker side of life as he wanted to, and that kind of started coming out later on in life, the desire to do that. And everyone messes up from time to time, and they overstep and they hurt people and they do things that they're not necessarily proud of, but as long as you can grow from it and you're conscious of it and that's not your intention, I think there is some kind of beauty to exploring the darker sides, and sometimes we find a lot of truth in that, and you end up not doing things in the future, not because it's the wrong thing to do, but because you genuinely don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't know until you try sometimes.
Okay. Well, we're so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Katarina, thank you so much for joining us. And you're headed off across the pond. You do have a show coming up in Chicago, coming up this spring, but you want to learn more, you want to download her music, catacombsmusic.squarespace.com. You can find her on Instagram or on Facebook.